everybody. Welcome to the Gazette Prep Basketball Podcast. I'm Jeff Linder. Over to my guest is Jeff Johnson from Cedar Rapids proper, and we will talk about the kind of the week that has been and the week that will be. And I guess we'll start with what's going on. There's a little bit of well, not a little bit. There's a pretty big controversy surrounding a boys' game between. Give us the latest on that.
Well, I guess if folks don't know, City High and Fairfield played a game from Monday night down in Fairfield, and it ended with 2 minutes left. Ended early after there was player conflict, I guess you could say. City High player and Steve appeared to shove a Fairfield player to the floor, and then shoved him again when he was on the floor, and benches cleared, and both teams, after order was restored, were sent to their locker rooms, and that's when City High decided it did not want to play the final 2 minutes. Fairfield was ahead by I think 12 points at the time. Making sure they got to their bus. There were police from Fairfield outside the gym to make sure they got to their bus safely. This obviously was kind of an emotionally charged crowd and things, a kind of an edgy game. And then state trooper helped escorted their bus out of town to make sure there was nothing that went on there. And then come to find out Tuesday that Iowa City High had sent an email to its students, parents, teachers about that incident, but then also claiming that during the game, and one of the game officials had said something racially charged, was the direct wording in this email towards City High coach Brennan Swayzer during the game. Swayzer was ejected after hearing it in the second half. I think it was late in the third quarter or early in the fourth. City High's really not saying anything other than that statement. Talked to John Bacon, the principal, and he said everything has to come through the district. The district's just pointing to that statement. Then the Iowa City Officials Association, which is the area association for officials down there that take care of games. They came out with a statement with the basically backing the officials, saying the officials say there was absolutely nothing racially or said racially to the City High coach. The Iowa High School Athletic Association obviously is involved in all of this now, trying to find a resolution. It's kind of turned into a he said type of a deal. Then City High came down the next night on Tuesday to play at Linmar without Coach Swayzer, who obviously was ejected, so he couldn't be there. And then at the City High player involved in the shoving incident that ended the game, he was not there either. Did talk to the assistant coach at City High, acting head coach, and he was very hesitant, as you would imagine, to talk about anything other than to say it was crazy, and he really didn't want to take away from the boys or anything by saying anything. And then I asked him if he had heard what was said, allegedly said to Coach Swayzer, and he just said it was crazy. I can't get into specifics, but I back coach. So that's where we are. Yeah. I said, unfortunate.
So there was no wrongdoing by anybody from Fairfield, correct? It's basically between City High and the officials.
In that Yeah, except for the conflict at the end. Yeah, Fairfield, I don't believe that it has anything to do with what City High is charging here. And Fairfield's sent out a couple of statements just saying, kind of explaining what happened at the end of the game and how they were the protocols or whatever that were followed to make sure that everybody was safe and okay and there were no other conflicts. And then said that they were aware of what City High was the allegations were, and that they would cooperate if they are asked, to cooperate, ask questions basically by anybody. So
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, he said, and it'll be interesting to find out where the truth really lies, or if it's somewhere in between, or what.
yeah, I mean, I can't obviously I can't judge. I can't say anything. I wasn't there. I didn't hear it, anything. Uh, so yeah, it's not obviously not for me to judge one bit or to you know say publicly what I think or anything like that. It's just something that it's the association. Talking to Chris Coyar yesterday, their director of communications, is just something that we're sorting through and helping the schools find some sort of resolution and the officials in this situation. So, and obviously, there's no need to put the officials' names out there at this point with nothing proven or anything like that. So, yeah, just unfortunate all the way around, and you just hope that again, like the association said, I mean, say find some sort of resolution to
Mhm.
this situation. So
Yeah. Stay tuned.
yes,
So,
exactly. So
so
just
where were you Tuesday? Did you have City and Linmar Tuesday then? Is that where
yeah,
you
I
were?
went out there just to try and talk to some people, obviously, and watch a
Hmm.
game. And um, Linmar's playing really well right now. They won
Yeah.
four or five in a row, I believe, and got their lead guard Jackson Severson back last week. He'd been out with a football injury, a broken hand, and he seems to make a big difference. Senior leader type of guy, and Davis Kern, the fine sophomore forward, had 28 points. The other night for Linmar, and Payson Needard, another sophomore, had 19, and I think had 5 3-pointers. And yeah, Linmar is young,
Hmm.
but obviously improving is going to be a very tough out, I think,
Yeah.
once the
Yeah.
postseason rolls around. So
Yeah. I saw them last week. I think it was Friday against Iowa City West, and they came from 14 down in the fourth quarter
yeah,
to win that one. So in overtime. So yeah, very very impressed with the way the Lions played that night.
and
So.
just another thing on City High. I mean, they were down by 20 points in the third quarter, came back and cut their disadvantage down to as little as 7. So I mean, that shows you a little something about those boys, coming off the 24 hours that team has
Hmm.
had, and not to quit in a game that they were way behind in the second half. So they have some pieces there too. I really like a kid named Shamar Benton, who's a senior guard that he might be 6 foot. I'm guessing maybe 5'11" something, but he can really get to the rim. And then Big Samuel Mbagonzo, the freshman kid that moved in, 6'9", 6'10", has got all the skills, and things like that. He's got to learn the game, and but the athletic ability and body are big time. So
Yeah.
somebody to keep an eye on, kind of moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I had Tuesday. I had Solon and Marion, and it was a boy girl doubleheader, the boys first, and which was kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
love that. I think
uh,
more schools should do that, Jeff.
yeah.
Because it sucks. You watch these. The girls' games are at 6 o'clock, which is kind of an unwieldy time. People just getting off work and having to run to the gym right away, and the students are never there. Uh, certainly until late in the girls' game. So it's nice to flip that around.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And
hard to
especially
interrupt.
when and it wasn't necessarily the case in this one, but especially when the girls matchup's the better matchup, I think that's something we should do sometimes. I know City High and West did that once a few years ago. I think City and West girls were ranked 1-2 that year, and they moved the girls game last. So anyway, boys game, Marion won that one. I believe it was 68-58. Brayson Lobby was great. He didn't take his first shot until the last few seconds of the first quarter. Got a 3-point play, end up with 26. I thought the difference in that game was Kalen Claypool, 17 points, 15 rebounds, just really kind of a monster on the glass. Has some length, and Solon's got some nice pieces.
Yeah.
They had three guys in double figures. Gary Turner, I imagine named after Lou Gehrig. 16 points for Solon in that game. And then the girls' game was pretty interesting. Solon got up by as many as 12 or 14. Marion came back, took the lead briefly there in the fourth quarter by 3 points, and then I think it was a 14-2 run by Solon to end it, and they won by 9. I think it was 58-49. Kelly Levine, the Iowa recruit, with 16 points. Anna Quillen came off the bench in that one to get 15 points, 14 rebounds for the Spartans in that one. So that was a heck of an achievement by her. Ella Backenstedt from Marion had 15 points in that one, 8 rebounds, and that got her over the 500 rebound mark for her career for Marion.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
That how was the crowd? I mean, were the crowd was the crowd there for the boys' game? Was it pretty full? Did everybody stick around after the boys'
No.
game?
It was bigger for the boys' game. A few people kind of meandered, to use your word, meandered off at some point during the girls' game, whether it was shortly after tip or at halftime or whatever. But which is unfortunate. But good crowd between two pretty good programs on both sides.
I was out Friday night at Northland for pie night.
Did you get some? Did you get?
Absolutely. I got a big cookie and a piece of apple pie. I did not spring for the full pies, which were going for $300, $400, $500.
Oh, how much was a slice of pie?
I want to say 2.5.
It's not bad.
No, absolutely not. And they were great. And all the money raised goes to post prom up there.
Okay.
Hence the people paying lots of money for it.
Yeah.
Was able to watch the girls.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Really good team, Jeff, and didn't really hit a lot of shots, and still won real handily. And excuse me, and then KCRG 9.2 was there, and it was a packed gym, and I ended up sitting up in the corner at the table on the one side, but next to
Columns corner, is that what they call it there?
Yep, Lynx Cast boys, and then Brian Wheatley, the girls' coach, ended up and his family literally sitting right next to me, so got to talk to him for a little bit, and he's happy with where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I told him that you're putting the heat on them, thinking that they could play with like your Newell Fondas and schools like that. And he says, "Yep, I've heard that."
Yeah.
So, but it was neat. It was neat to talk to him. He's real happy with where they're at, and then he gets to stick around and be a dad afterwards and watch his son Ben play the boys' game. So it's great to sit next to a coach who knows what's going on as the game's going on, because you just learn. I mean, he knows all the plays the boys are going to run when they're called out, and just acting like a coach, basically. So
yeah, they've still got some really good pieces on their boys team, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And real impressive win. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm losing my voice, but Northland's ranked second in 2A, and Alburnett going into that game was ranked number 6 in 2A. They played a 2-point game at Alburnett earlier in the season. And, I think it was a second quarter run, 13-0 that Northland went on. And that kind of created a spread, and Alburnett was never able to really seriously threaten after that. So impressive win. I mean, they've got, Tate Hoggenberry, as everybody has probably heard of him. He just committed over the weekend to play hoops at Kirkwood. So good for
Okay.
him. It's kind of a deal where he didn't know if he was going to go to school, what he might go to school for. He's just a farm kid, an ag kid, so that's going to be part of his life. And so he never really knew if athletics was in the cards because of that. But I think he's going to end up doing the best of both worlds here and play hoops at Kirkwood and study ag, if I heard right. So yeah, him and Wheatley, the experienced guys. Then they got Mason Betchen, who's just a sophomore. He's going to be a great player for him. Maybe the next great Northland player. And Ty Flughop is another kid that really can score and shoot it. And Brecken Beatenbender or Bettenbender. Sorry if I missed your last name, Brecken, but he's kind of the fifth guy, the glue guy that goes with them. They don't really have a deep bench, but they're a great team, no doubt. Are they Grandview Christian great? I don't know. The coach was there Friday night scouting from Grandview Christian, so who knows? It might come down to those two teams again to play for a state championship, but that's a long way off. So
Yeah. Just kind of some news of the week. Got some good games coming up girls wise. Tomorrow night I'll be at Tiffin, where Clear Creek Amana and Benton Community get together again in a Walmack West showdown. The winner we'll definitely have the inside track to win the Walmack West. A couple other goodies out there. Monticello's at Cascade. Cascade's still undefeated in the River Valley North. Monticello's a game back. And South Iowa Cedar League East Division game. Iowa Valley hosts English Valleys. Iowa Valley has a one-game lead in the East over English Valleys and Sigourney. So that's what's going on tomorrow. On Tuesday, Kalia Sane from Cedar Rapids Kennedy went over the 1,000-point mark for her career. 36 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists in Kennedy's win over Western Dubuque.
not bad.
Yeah, that's a night. Briar Dewey from Decorah became the school's all-time leading scorer in 5-player basketball. She's over 1,300 points. And Cedar Rapids, Washington got its first win of the season. Beat Dubuque Hempstead 64-54. So that's kind of stuff I'm talking about in my notes that are already online and will be in tomorrow's paper. Anything out in the area going on on the boys' side?
We've got tomorrow night. We've got a bunch of intercity games, and I assume these are all boy-girls, Jeff.
Probably, yeah.
Jefferson Prairie, Kennedy, Washington, City High and West play. Not too long after they just played at the Extreme Arena, so I think we got a lot of boy-girl action going on. Here at least in town and in the MVC tomorrow night. So you have regional. When are regional pairings coming out on the girls' side?
Well, I had heard this week, and I've also heard next week. So I guess I'm not gonna keep hitting the refresh button, the F5 button, but sometime soon. And it'll be after today's rankings for sure. I don't know if we'll get one more rankings in or not.
I can't believe it's already time.
I know, we're almost to February.
I know, exactly. So I know you kind of doped out and scooped what you think might happen. So and how things might get split up. So I'm always eager to see if how accurate you are, because I know
it probably won't be close.
I don't know about that. I don't.
How about the boys' pairings?
Yeah, they come out. I think it's the first Wednesday in February, so it wouldn't be this coming week. It'd be the week after that. That'd be the small schools, and then the big schools are the week after that. So they push it back with these with these rankings that the IHSA is putting out each week. So and that was part of the reason for it. Are
they going to have sub-state finals at any big venues like the Powerhouse or in Coralville or anything like that?
undetermined right now, from what I understand. I think the association like the setup of Extreme Arena. I know there were a couple of members that went and saw that. I think it was triple header on a Tuesday night here a couple of weeks ago, just to kind of get a gander at how the basketball set up there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they like the facility for sure, and it wouldn't surprise me at some point, even if it's not this year, if they play some games in there. Maybe double header, heck, triple header, who knows how it might work out. So I
Mm-hmm.
think they're still trying to come to some sort of maybe resolution on that, and when they want to do it. So yeah, I mean, I wish you would have been able to get to see and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure we'll at some point get in there and just see what it's like for a basketball setup. But nice arena. I think it's the right size.
Yeah. Yeah.
5,000, whatever it is, to get kids in there and things like that. So, I wanted to ask you this, Jeff. I was talking to somebody earlier this week just about, actually, it might have even been my wife, about she was watching highlights at 10 o'clock news on TV of some game, and didn't seem to be a whole lot of people in the crowd at whatever game that was. And she says, "Do people go to games anymore?" She goes, I didn't see any students, especially in the student section. And I, I, she made me sit back and think about it. I don't think we get nearly as many people to games anymore, and that includes students. How are games attended compared to maybe even 10 years ago?
Yeah. It's not great in town, at the bigger schools. And when you split sites, if Kennedy's playing City High and boys or girls that, boys at one place, girls at the other gym, I think most of them kind of gravitate toward the boys game. No, student sections aren't as big. They're usually pretty big, out in the rural areas still.
Yeah.
Um, but there's other things to do now, and I think a lot of it has to do with phones and all that. But and yeah, I would say student sections are down. How you fix it, I don't know. I think once you get into tournament play and big games and stuff like that, they'll start showing up again. But what have you seen on the boys' side?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Just general crowds, not just student sections. I think that you don't see as many people as maybe you used to, and you
Hmm.
pointed out a lot of the reasons for that. To be honest with you, these games are almost all online now,
Yeah.
um, and you don't have to. I think for a lot of these feeds, you don't even have to pay to watch them. So,
Hmm.
I don't know if that has anything to do with maybe fewer people going to games or not. But
Yeah.
I don't think that means that there's not as much interest, because I think there is for sure.
Hmm.
Still interest, just general interest in the teams and the kids and things like that. So I don't know. It was just something, it's good that my wife makes me think every now and then of
Yeah. Well,
answers I can't
that's a good thing.
sometimes. But
So
yeah, because she was talking about her school in Colorado. She said, that was the big thing. We all
yeah.
went to games on Tuesdays and Fridays. And,
Yeah.
same thing with you. I know you played, but yeah, I mean, that was the thing.
If you want to call it that.
Quick shout out to Avery Holtz of Maquoketa Valley before I forget that. He just picked up his 1,000th career point in their game Tuesday night. They've had a pretty good season there, about 500 team, maybe a game over, things like that. Who's really hot on the girls' side, Jeff? Long win streak or anything like that? Anybody that
Oh, well, Northland, obviously they're undefeated. Elkader Central's kind of been under the radar, but they're undefeated. They're the only other undefeated team in their area, 16-0, and they're going to run away with the Upper Iowa Conference title, which will be their first in girls basketball since the 70s.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the first 5-on-5 Upper Iowa title. So, um, the bigwigs in the WAMAC. So, Clear Creek's won. I don't think they've won. I don't think they've lost since Christmas. Benton Community hasn't lost since I think their first game after Christmas. And they play each other obviously on Friday. We talked about that a little bit. Um, let's see. Cascades only got one loss. They lost to Decorah early January, and they still just got the one. They had a nice win over Regina the other night um, at Cornell. Decorah, I mean, talk about them a little bit. They've got two losses. One of them's to an out-of-state team, and one of them's to Dike New Hartford, which is close to a lock to win the 2A title. Decorah's having a really, really nice year. So those are kind of the big movers and shakers right now in the area.
I wanted to give a shout out to your wife's alma mater. Now, is she a Gladbrook girl or
She was the last class of Gladbrook,
Gladbrook,
1988.
1988. All right.
Yep, and may their school rest in peace. The wrecking ball took care of that this summer. So
they did. Oh,
that's another thing we have in common. Both of our schools are now obsolete.
Man, that's tough. That's tough.
So what did Gladbrook Rhinebeck do?
Gladbrook Rhinebeck knocked off 2A number 2 Appleton Parkersburg Tuesday night, 83-80, in what must have been a heck of a basketball game. That's an upset because I didn't see AP losing really at all. Heading to the tournament, but Gladbrook's got a great program. 14-1 now, I think. So another threat there in 1A, and Mount Vernon knocked off Xavier the other night.
Yeah,
at Xavier on a last second shot, and he was 66.
Yeah. Now, did they come from way back to win that, or did they?
Xavier was well ahead in that game, and the Mustangs came back, and I think it was Kuchar, I think that ended up getting the game winning shot for Mount Vernon. Yes, another Kuchar, Keaton Kuchar, of course, was great player at Mount Vernon, and yes, they are related to Ashton. If you wondered, David Kuchar, the father, was a great player at Clear Creek Humana back when they were at the state tournament in the 80s. So the Kuchar name lives or continues on, I guess. This is Jackson Kuchar, by the way, who's a sophomore or junior, I think. Another fine player. So Mount Vernon's got a nice club.
Yeah,
obviously, and that's a huge win over Xavier. And I gotta tell you, Jeff, I feel sorry for our friend Scott Eunice because he's on that 3A committee ranking, and I think that's the toughest class without a doubt. At least it has been. Bondurant Farrar's the only undefeated team. You got teams that play down or conferences with a lot of 2A teams. You got obviously teams like Xavier that play in leagues against teams in 4A. So I don't, how do you sort all that out?
Yeah. Is Wahlert pretty good this year?
Wallert's about 500, maybe a little under. Started off well. They've been kind of up and down.
Okay.
Played well.
We're probably not too many years away from Wahlert being 2A, are we?
Yeah. That's a good thought. I mean, we'll have to see how honestly, I'm not talking politics, but the whole voucher thing, if that ends up bumping up enrollments of some of these public schools or not. So,
yeah.
And that'll, that could move schools up, not necessarily down. So, Cedar Rapids, Washington's on a nice little streak here. I think they've won 4 or 5 in a row as well going into their big game against Kennedy. So, Friday night. So we'll see if the Warriors can hang with what is undoubtedly the best basketball team in Eastern Iowa and Kennedy. So where are you going to be tomorrow night?
I'll be at Tiffin, Benton Community Tiffin, or Clear Creek Humana, and really looking forward to that. 2 of the best players in the area in Jenna Tweed and Ava Locklear, so they'll be going head to head, and it's kind of Benton Community's bombers from outside and Clear Creek's length inside. They got some really good size. So that's where I'll be. How about yourself?
Yeah, to be determined. I might go to Kennedy for the Kennedy Wash thing. It's there was thought of maybe Waterloo West, Linmar, because Waterloo West is borderline top 10 team, and I just saw Linmar the other night. Prairie Jeff will be competitive. So to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll flip a three-headed coin or something like that. I
Nobody's
don't
having pie night though.
No, but if you are, there is free popcorn at the Jeff Prairie game, and that
That might
may
swing you there.
that might swing me there. Just saying. So, then next week, I mean, have you been able to look at? I gotta admit, I have not, Jeff, to see what's.
I've not either. No, not going to make any promises.
Humongous win for the Iowa women's basketball team.
Oh
Man.
my, they played really well on Monday, and that probably makes them a solid 2 seed for the NCAA as of now. Things can change one way or the other. I think people are starting to think, oh, are they in line for a 1 seed? And the answer to that is no, not yet. They'd be a low 2 right now, and to get to a 1, you're going to need help. You're going to need some teams above you to get beat. To be one of those 4 teams. So they're playing very, very well right now. They got Nebraska at home, expecting a humongous crowd on Saturday if the weather holds off. And that sounds like that might be a pretty big if.
How's Nebraska? Solid team?
Up and down, which, average. When they're shooting their threes, they're really good. When they're not, they're pretty average. So there's 32. They're shooting 32% from 3-point right now, and if they get a hot streak against Iowa, then it'll be a handful.
Lisa Bluter, obviously, she got a great recruit in Caitlin Clark, but she's not the only one. Do you feel like her recruiting has picked up, or their recruiting? It's not just her, obviously. It's Jan Jensen, it's the other coaches that help recruit. Has Iowa in general been able to recruit better, say over the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever? Than
I think it kind of started with Megan Gustafson. She ended up being a star, and some other kids started following with that. The Kathleen Doyles and those kids, and now they've got Caitlin Clark, obviously, and Hannah Stolke's proving to be a really good player. I think she's going to have a heck of a career at Iowa before she's all said and done. I think their junior class is solid. The girl that Ava Hayden from Oregon is. I've heard she's a really good post player. She's still a couple years away. Don't know about the recruits for next year. Obviously, Ava Jones isn't going to play next year. Kenise Johnson at the end. I don't know, another guard, but we'll see.
Well, the presence of Caitlin Clark, could that help with recruiting moving forward?
Boy, it can't hurt.
Right.
Kids that want to play with her. On the other hand, she's not going to be there forever. She's only going to be there 1 more year, maybe 2. I would think 1. But it can't hurt.
So she will. I mean, I'm sorry for my naivete here, but theoretically, she could try or she could
play
go
5.
Yeah.
She could go pro after this year. Quite frankly, I think the NIL money she makes is probably more than WNBA annual salary would be. Okay. So I think she'll definitely stay for 4. If she stay for 5, she's that first class that, or I guess she's the last class that could be a 5-year player. If she does play, I mean, she's going to set some records that are never, ever, ever going to be touched.
Yeah, that's her choice. I mean, if she loves the college experience and loves playing college basketball, and you're making whatever she's making in NIL, why the heck move on and be an adult, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Anything else you want to touch on before we sign off?
I think I'm pretty much all talked out. Anything else on the boys' side or anything like that?
Sure can't think of anything.
All right. Well,
We both talked ourselves out. So
yeah. So, well, we'll wrap it up for today. We'll be back next week. Next week we'll be talking February basketball. So that's when it gets really fun. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening in. Sorry that you had to look at our mugs, but thanks a lot and thanks for supporting us. And we'll see you next week.